Steve Jobs and his leadership style have been equally loved and judged. But given that he was able to turn around Apple and make it the most valuable company in the world, definitely shows that there are some very powerful entrepreneurial leadership lessons that we can learn from Steve Jobs. Hi, welcome back to the channel. My name is Elizabeth van Geerestein, and I'm your personal leadership insider, here to help you fast-track your leadership and your career. On this channel, we talk about how to develop your skills as a leader and grow your impact and your influence. When you look back at Steve Jobs' style, you hear people talking about the innovative impact of his leadership.
Every once in a while, a revolutionary product comes along that changes everything.
Clearly, that was a strong trait for Steve Jobs, given that under his leadership, he brought to market the iPhone, the iPod, and even Pixar. But today, I want us to focus on the entrepreneurial side of his leadership. There are aspects of entrepreneurial leadership that we can all apply, regardless of where we are leading or managing in our organizations.
We're the biggest startup on the planet, and we all meet for 3 hours once a week, and we talk about everything we're doing, the whole business. And there's tremendous teamwork at the top of the company, which filters down to tremendous teamwork throughout the company.
Entrepreneurial leadership involves organizing and motivating a group of people towards a common objective. And they do that through innovation, risk optimization, and taking advantage of opportunities. And most importantly, by managing the dynamics of the external and internal organization environments. Number one, trust your intuition while managing risk. We've heard Steve Jobs so many times talk about intuition and trusting your gut feeling. And whilst opportunities might not actually look like opportunities staring you in the face, you should trust your gut that the dots will connect some way, somehow in the future.
If I had never dropped out, I would have never dropped in on that calligraphy class, and personal computers might not have the wonderful typography that they do. Of course, it was impossible to connect the dots looking forward when I was in college, but it was very, very clear looking backwards 10 years later. Again, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. Because believing that the dots will connect down the road will give you the confidence to follow your heart, even when it leads you off the well-worn path. And that will make all the difference.
At the same time, another primary characteristic of entrepreneurial leadership is the ability and willingness to evaluate and leverage risk as an opportunity for growth. This means entrepreneurial leaders always expect risk and can expect its implications. While they assess organizational risk, they also feel more comfortable taking risks that may lead to greater success. They take action when encountering challenges and motivate their employees and team members to do the same. Taking initiatives can reduce challenges, mitigate risk, and lead to more productive working environments. Number two, being visionary.
The greatest people are self-managing. They don't need to be managed. Once they know what to do, they'll go figure out how to do it, and they don't need to be managed at all. What they need is a common vision, and that's what leadership is. What leadership is having a vision, being able to articulate that so the people around you can understand it, and getting a consensus on a common vision.
Steve Jobs is a known visionary, and his perspective about vision development is worth revisiting.
There needs to be someone who is sort of the keeper and reiterator of the vision, because there's just a ton of work to do. And a lot of times, when you have to walk 1,000 miles and you take the first step, it looks like a long ways. And it really helps if there's someone there saying, well, we're one step closer. The goal definitely exists. It's not just a mirage out there. So in 1,001 little and sometimes larger ways, the vision needs to be reiterated. I do that a lot.
It is clear that the role of a leader, especially an entrepreneurial leader, is to develop and communicate a clear, achievable, and yet inspiring vision. This uniting vision will keep all members of the team, no matter how big or small, together and going in the same direction at all times. Even during times of uncertainty, disruption, volatility, or stagnation, like we are seeing in so many different regions around the world today, reiterating the vision and showing your team members the importance of sticking together and focusing on the bigger purpose and the desired outcomes will always prove to be one of the most impactful things that you can do as a leader. Number 3, know how to maintain perseverance and determination in the face of failure. Entrepreneurial leaders fail with grace and learn from their failures. We saw that with Steve Jobs when 10 years after he started his epic adventure with Apple and brought it to annual revenues of $2 billion, he got fired.
How can you get fired from a company you started? Well, as Apple grew, we hired someone who I thought was very talented to run the company with me. And for the first year or so, things went well. But then our visions of the future began to diverge, and eventually we had a falling out. When we did, our board of directors sided with him. And so at 30, I was out, and very publicly out. What had been the focus of my entire adult life was gone, and it was devastating. I really didn't know what to do for a few months. I felt that I had let the previous generation of entrepreneurs down, that I had dropped the baton as it was being passed to me. I met with David Packard and Bob Noyce and tried to apologize for screwing up so badly. I was a very public failure, and I even thought about running away from the valley. But something slowly began to dawn on me. I still loved what I did.
Then, feeling unburdened and not pressed by the stress of running a company the size of Apple, uniquely driven by his love and passion and drive, he went ahead and started Next and Pixar. He could not be defeated. He went ahead with perseverance and passion.
I was lucky. I found what I loved to do early in life. Woz and I started Apple in my parents' garage when I was 20. We worked hard, and in 10 years, Apple had grown from just the two of us in a garage into a $2 billion company with over 4,000 employees. We just released our finest creation, the Macintosh, a year earlier, and I just turned 30.
Entrepreneurial leaders choose to believe that problems are solvable. They leverage this optimism into creative problem solving, innovation, and determination. When paired with a sense of realism and the right tools and resources, entrepreneurial leaders achieve and exceed their organization's goals. Number 4, persuasive and clear communication, even during times of ambiguity. Entrepreneurial leaders like Steve Jobs communicate effectively and persuasively, and they do that with clarity, conviction, and confidence. And this applies to all members of their team and across the organization and with internal and external stakeholders. They use this skill to convey their own ideas as well as actively listening to the ideas of others. Entrepreneurial leaders work to foster productive and collaborative communication between their team members and other departments.
What I do all day is meet with teams of people and work on ideas and solve problems to make new products, to make new marketing programs, whatever it is.
And are people willing to tell you you're wrong?
Yeah.
I mean, other than snarky journalists. I mean, people that work.
Yeah. No, we have wonderful arguments.
Moreover, entrepreneurial leaders are comfortable with ambiguity and fluid circumstances. This means they can navigate situations with multiple perspectives and multiple potential responses. And also, we see these leaders encouraging their team members to develop a strong level of comfort with uncertainty and ambiguity. Since entrepreneurial leaders may work in a startup or in a volatile industry, this strong level of comfort equips them to thrive and flourish in any circumstance. Point number 5, be run by ideas, not hierarchy. Build strong teams that you can fully empower and fully rely on, because collaboration is key. While his strict approach to recruitment was probably better known, Jobs was also outstanding at building strong teams.
One of the keys to Apple is Apple's an incredibly collaborative company. And so, you know how many committees we have at Apple?
No.
0. We have no committees. And teamwork is dependent on trusting the other folks to come through with their part without watching them all the time, but trusting that they're going to come through with their parts. And that's what we do really well. And we're great at figuring out how to divide things up into these great teams that we have and all work on the same thing, touch bases frequently, and bring it all together into a product. We do that really well.
Entrepreneurial leaders motivate and empower their team members to cultivate this belief as well. And this improves their ability to take initiative and leads to better workflows throughout the organization. Number 6, he showed courage and confidence in the face of fear. Entrepreneurial leaders are confident in their ability to make good decisions and lead their organizations into productive, growth-oriented initiatives.
So we try to pick things that are in their strengths. And if you choose wisely, you can save yourself an enormous amount of work versus trying to do everything. And you can really put energy into making those new emerging technologies be great on your platform, rather than just okay because you're spreading yourself too thin.
They usually gain this confidence in leadership experience that includes successes and failures. And all of this serves them as learning opportunities. Often, leaders pair this confidence with humility and self-awareness of their abilities, strengths, and limitations. Whilst this may not have been one of Steve Jobs' strengths, we can definitely admire him for his courage and his confidence.
So we have a history of doing that. As an example, we went from the 5-inch floppy disk to the 3.5-inch floppy disk with the Mac.
Before other people, right?
We were the first to do that. We made the 3.5-inch floppy disk popular. Sony invented it, and we put it in the first products.
And mind you, confidence doesn't mean that they don't get scared. It doesn't mean that they're fearless. On the contrary, they feel the fear and move ahead anyway. They conquer the fear. They step outside of their comfort zone, and they do whatever it takes to move the mission forwards. Entrepreneurial leaders have the belief that they are empowered and they have the skills to deal with any situation as it arises. All right, that was it for today. I hope this has helped you to identify at least a few opportunities for you to grow as an entrepreneurial leader. And I hope you're inspired to work with your team to identify some entrepreneurial leadership principles that you can work on and apply together. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to share this video with your team so they can also learn from Steve Jobs' entrepreneurial leadership style. Like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe because I've got some great new videos coming up. See you next time.